Hey, this is Jeff Kingston. I'm the Director of Operations for Marketing 32, where all we do is marketing with dentists. Today we're talking about the idea of the phrase, "I'll call you back." So "I'll call you back" can be used on either side of the fence, whether it's by patients or by front desk staff. And on the patient side, usually "I'll call you back" really just means no. They have some unresolved concern that hasn't been resolved in their mind by you or by your front staff, and so they're just saying no in a quote unquote nice way. So the solution there is to make sure you figure out what that concern is, delve a little bit deeper, and help them feel more comfortable with your practice. On the other side, with your staff, if your staff have said "I'll call you back" to a patient, typically the reason is because they don't have the knowledge or the information to make a specific decision. So patient calls, says, "Hey, can I get an appointment this afternoon? My tooth really hurts." Front desk says, "Okay, well, let me check with the doctor and get back to you. I'll call you." Now, it's not as much of a loss, but if you can imagine the patient then waits an hour, doesn't hear from you, they're going to call somebody else. And maybe you can get in touch with the doctor by then, maybe you can't. So it's much less likely to turn into a booking. That's the data will show you in a moment, shows you that. But the solution there is to make sure you provide those processes and information to your front desk. So when it comes to emergency specifically, what does your front desk staff do when they're presented with a patient that has an emergency? Like specifically, it needs to be written out, processized. They need a standard operating procedure to know what to do in those situations. That's one, the emergency ones one we see a lot. The other is like what type of cases in particular the doctor might see. Especially like one of the things I remember just off the top of my head is extractions. I remember one situation where we had a front desk staff that was told by the doctor that they don't see a certain type of extraction, because I don't know if it was impacted. There was something about the extraction that was more complex. And so they said, no, we can't see them for that. I think they're actually referred to an oral surgeon, and that's how they knew they couldn't see them. But what the staff member heard from that is, we don't do extractions. And from then on, we noticed that anyone that called and asked about an extraction, they were told, oh no, we don't do extractions, which obviously was wrong, but it's a very, very simple fix if you can identify that problem. So the solution there long-term is just make sure that you provide the accurate information to your front desk staff so that they know the answers to those questions. Now let me show you the cool part, the data here. So looking at this, if you don't know, we record all of the patient calls from all of our practices across all of our partner practices. We go back and listen to them all, and we identify what happened. So did they book? Was it a voicemail? Did they have an issue with price? Was their insurance not accepted? Was it the wrong office? Et cetera, spam. And so because of that, we look at this planned callback as one of the issues that we'll track regularly. You can see here 11%, our average across all practices, 2%. So it's very, very far out of parameter. Now this is a newer practice, but the point is it's very far out of parameter and needs to be addressed. So I wanted to show you this versus another practice who still is out of parameter, but is actually quite a bit better at planned callback, and watch what happens to the bookings. So planned callbacks, when I go to this other practice, go down to 8%. So about a 40% reduction. Bookings go up to almost 50%. So we go from 25% over here to almost 50% over here. So bookings doubled with a 40% reduction in planned callbacks. So those planned callbacks basically seem like they mostly turned into bookings. So the numbers don't lie. I mean, this is a potential opportunity for 30-40% improvement in the booking rate, especially when it comes to new patients. Because if you can imagine a new patient being told that they need to get called back, doesn't instill a lot of trust in the practice. Hopefully this is helpful. If you have any feedback, any other ideas of how you might handle planned callbacks, or how you train your staff on how to handle this type of situation, drop it in a comment below. Happy to hear from anybody else on the subject.